That's my intro.
That's the intro.
That's your intro, bro.
Guys,
we ain't got time.
We don't got time, but hey, man, welcome to
goodness.
Cross Politics. Thank you for all our club members who've been supporting us. We've been able to do some extra content this week because it's a serious week.
Take off your tie.
And
I'm gonna take off my shirt.
I cannot believe the interview that we have coming to you right
How
now.
many I got? One, two,
It is this guy is a lawyer who's involved on the ground floor of all these in a number of lawsuits. He said what like 12 states, something like that.
Yeah, he's got
14 or something.
And all this electioneering and supposed fraud that's happening, and he has real details.
Phil Klein.
My buddy Phil Klein, and he's been helping me on the Thomas More Society stuff. He's been involved in my case.
Wow.
Here in Moscow, Idaho. But this interview, I mean,
We call him to talk about Libertas Christian School.
And
That's
he's
what
like,
we talking
no,
about.
he's like, I want to.
And
We'll talk about that.
He gonna say like, I got some more information for you, and that's when I was like, oh, for real though? That's what we doing?
You got your clip out.
We were gonna save it.
This interview was going to drop Sunday,
We
but
were
we
gonna
thought
save it.
it was so important that you guys hear this stuff now.
We can't hold back.
And please join our club, support what we're doing, grab the magazine, sign up for the magazine and what we're doing there.
You're done? What's your bullets out for?
I'm just getting ready.
Yeah.
I'm just after he talking, he just I'm my hand's not on the gun, my finger's not on the trigger. I'm just loading my
load the clip.
magazine.
Yeah,
That's
I got
all
you.
I'm doing.
I got you.
This is messy, and I think this should change how Christians think about engaging in politics going forward.
Well, no, I think hold on to what we said in the show this morning.
Yeah,
That's right.
You stay Christian.
that's right.
You stay Christian.
That's right.
But you look reality right in the eye.
Yep.
In Jesus' name.
Yes.
And with your gun by your side.
And just, sleep with one eye open.
That's right.
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the one and only Fight Laugh Feast Network. Have you shared the show?
I hope so.
Get ready for an interview coming on right now. We got Mr. Phil Klein, former Attorney General of Kansas, professor of law at Liberty University, director of the Amistad Project, and I just did a little Googling, Phil, and you're no stranger to hot water.
Yeah.
Anybody who tries to lead in today's culture is no stranger to hot water.
That's true. You've been busy for a minute, but thank you for coming on to Cross Politic. We initially found out about you because we've been following what's been going on with Libertas Christian Academy
In Michigan.
Yeah. Can you fill us in? They restarted and they've been getting harassed by the health district there related to COVID restrictions. Well, what's going on with that case?
You bet. And we have a great attorney on the ground there named Ian Northen that's working directly with Bob Davis and Libertas and the parents there. Here's essentially what happened. When any buddy starts to declare themselves to no longer be part of the lawmaking process, but to be the law, Americans should worry. And that's what the governor of Michigan has done. She's lost faith in the democratic process. She says, I don't want to consult the legislature anymore. I am the law. I'm going to decide what's happening. Now, the Supreme Court of Michigan has already told her that is unlawful, but now she's using her health departments. And here's the point I'd like to make with your listeners, gentlemen, is that when you claim that you have laws so broadly that it controls every human relationship, whether you're 5'11" or 6'1" away from somebody, whether your mask covers your nose and your mouth or just your mouth, whether you can be with a loved one as they're dying or have a funeral or a wedding or in Libertas's example, sing during chapel. You've passed laws that no police force can enforce. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is government raises its hand to smack down those who question the authority of government. And Libertas School has questioned the authority. That's why they're singled out. That's why they're shutting them down. It's not about public health. There's not COVID cases spreading in that school. It's about speaking out against authority. And when you move towards a one-person government, and many of these blue state governors are doing that, they're claiming perpetual police powers to be the law. The greatest crime you can commit is not about public health. It's about questioning their authority. And that should make everybody concerned in America. Our First Amendment rights are not suspended.
That's right.
Right now. They are vibrant, they're protected by our Constitution, and we're going to fight for those rights wherever we can fight for them against these governors who have declared themselves to be above the law and actually be the law.
Well, and now, so the Supreme Court ruled against her in her initial emergency order, and now she's using basically bureaucracies throughout the state, the health departments, to enforce what the Supreme Court wouldn't allow her to enforce from her own hand. And so she's now forcing the organizations locally to enforce her executive order, basically.
Yes. What this governor has essentially said is, look, I have no faith that Michiganders can manage this, protect the vulnerable, and then pursue their...
Uh-oh, we just lost him.
On hold.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was... that we don't trust Michiganders to manage their own lives and pursue their own hopes and dreams and protect the vulnerable. What she has decided is that she is the repository of all wisdom, and so we've got to quarantine the healthy rather than protect the vulnerable. And this country doesn't do that.
Right.
It should not do that. Now, specifically as to Libertas, where we are, we're in federal court. We've got various cross motions going on. The county is still threatening that school, and we're hoping to protect their individual liberties and rights. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
You keep getting calls. People want to talk to you.
It's kind of crazy right now because we're also involved in these election fights. Yeah. And this is the other thing. If you transition to that,
yeah,
that's critical. Is a couple of things have happened. First of all, these same governors have issued executive orders to suspend certain laws that protect the integrity of elections under COVID fear.
Yep. Wow.
They've also made it harder than it has been for the generation to vote in person. And we know the demographic that prefers to vote in person. It's the Republican demographic.
Yep.
At the same time, they've had substantial monies flow in from private parties into government offices, including $400 million from Mark Zuckerberg, to direct them how to manage elections in these cities. And what they've done is they've created easier opportunities to vote in urban areas than they ever have before. I'll give you one example. Have you heard about the drop boxes?
Yes.
Yes.
Where you vote. Those are, we call them Zucker boxes because they're funded by Mark Zuckerberg.
Wow.
In Delaware County, Pennsylvania, there's one drop box for every 2 square miles for people to vote. Delaware County is heavy Biden territory. In Republican counties in Pennsylvania, it's one drop box for every 1,100 square miles. So you've made it harder to vote in person. You make it easy to vote in Democrat strongholds to turn out to vote. And they've suspended state laws so others can harvest the ballots. Yeah. Now, what is happening right now in Michigan, in downtown Detroit, you have a Democrat election official who appointed 134 what they call absentee ballot counting boards. There's 5 people on these boards. What they do is they look at flawed absentee ballots. For example, military ballots come in, they had to be printed before the official ballot was done, so they're on paper that the machines can't read. So these ballot boards take a clean ballot and transfer the vote over to the new ballot that the machine can read. So they are actually filling out the ballot for people who aren't there.
Oh, my gosh.
And voting for them.
Wow.
Now, to protect the integrity of it, the law requires a Republican to be there and a Democrat. And that makes sense. You get people who are vested, you get eyes on, and if they agree, guess what? It's an authentic ballot. If they disagree, they set it aside for later. But they did all this without any Republican sign-off. They prevented poll watchers from coming close to it. So they've intentionally violated the law. Moreover, they've intentionally violated another safety net. These ballots that come back in an envelope with a barcode On the polls, when they mail out the ballot, they put that barcode number next to the voter to make sure that this ballot is coming back from the voter.
Right.
You scan the barcode, you match it to the poll books. They were instructed when the numbers don't match to alter the number in the electronic poll book so the vote can be counted.
Oh.
2 intentional violations of the law occur in that county.
Wow.
And now evidence is coming forward of fraud.
Wow.
In addition, there is a postal worker in Traverse, Michigan, who has come forward and said the postmaster ordered him to change the stamp or the postal mark from November 4th to November 3rd on ballots that were in the post office on November 4th, and then mail them as if they had been postmarked on November 3rd. We've got massive irregularities, and this has all been generated under COVID fear that we have to force on the American people a different method of voting than we've ever had before because it's too unsafe to vote in person. It's too risky to get witnesses for absentee ballots. So under COVID fear, we've eliminated protections to make sure that every valid vote is counted properly.
Wow.
And so we've got lawsuits with these issues in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota, in Michigan, Texas, Iowa, Georgia, South Carolina. There's issues everywhere.
Wow.
And here's what we're seeing. I'd encourage with your listeners. Now there are certain people like running up to the line of scrimmage to get the snap off before the red flag can be thrown on the field to pause and look at the replay. Just pause. Our system is up for that. We don't have to certify electors until December. And there's a reason. So we can pause and make sure the election was fair and valid. And that's all we're asking. One other point, gentlemen. These election officials, they control the information that would disprove what we're saying. And it's information that only relates to how they manage the election. It's not anything relating to individual privacy or how people voted. They're refusing to release that information. They should. You should be able to talk about it on air. The American public deserves to see it.
Specifically, what information?
For example, these drop boxes. You cannot receive a ballot after the polls close. They have poll or they have records of when these drop boxes were emptied, who emptied them, and they also were required to have video on the drop boxes to make sure that multiple ballots were shoved in. And in fact, some of those videos have shown multiple ballots shoved in. They need to make all that video available. They need to make those logs available. Who got the drop boxes? When did they get them? They need to make available. The law requires in Detroit, for example, that the Republicans sign the form and the Democrats sign the form as it relates to curing these flawed absentee ballots. Bring out the forms. Is it a Republican? It is not, but they should release those forms. They should match back up those ballots that were counted in a flawed manner so that we could do it legally. And we're demanding that. That's how it should be done. But they're refusing right now. They're refusing to release anything. They're refusing to speak about anything. And they're refusing any type of effort to have transparency as it relates to their conduct.
Wow.
That Tucker Carlson deer in headlight look has just permeated my face. And so, there's so many questions. I don't even, man, where do I start at?
Well, you're going to go?
Yeah, Phil, so they can fix this right now by dropping all the information. One of the narratives that we're hearing from the other side is, why are you guys trying to stop the vote? We'll get to all of this, sure, but let us finish counting the vote. Phil, what's wrong with letting them finish tallying up the vote? Why can't you just let them finish doing the vote, and then we'll get to all of this that you're talking about?
Because they're counting the vote illegally. I mean, what they call counting.
Go ahead, start again, Phil.
It's a group of 5 Democrats sitting around a table voting for third parties they've never met, casting the vote and counting the vote.
Wow.
When the law says there has to be a there. So, of course they want to continue illegally to count the vote.
But couldn't we tell that, though? Couldn't we tell that it was illegal?
Yes.
So if they counted all the votes
Yes,
up,
the law is very.
so if they counted all the votes up still, and we were able to come back in later, is there anything to stop us from not being able to find the truth or know the truth? What would stop us from? Why do we want to do it now versus then? What's the difference in time frame?
The difference in time frame is preservation of the information. We're concerned they're destroying those original ballots after they do this. So they have 5 Democrats at a table. They're transferring the data over, casting that vote, and then discarding that other ballot so we can never match it up again.
Phil,
And then they'll say, oops.
Go ahead.
yeah. A couple hours ago, Donald Trump tweets out big legal win in Pennsylvania. Do you know anything about what he's talking about there?
Well, we've got several things going on in Pennsylvania, yes. And some of the efforts have resulted in fruit that they're backing down on some issues. Primarily what the president is speaking about is just access of poll watchers.
Okay.
We have had several legal initiatives where the law allows, and this makes sense, gentlemen. It's real simple. At the end of a poker game, for example, everybody reveals their cards so both sides can see it, right?
Right.
So I've got money on the table. You've got money on the table. We see the cards. We know the result. That's the fair way to do it. What they're doing is they're saying, no, we're not going to show you our cards, but by the way, we won.
Yeah.
Give me your money. Now,
Wow.
that's not how this works.
No.
The law, it's common sense, says everybody who has vested interest gets eyes on
Right.
to be able to see that the count is done right. Now, there's several things in Pennsylvania that are concerning about the count. First, Mark Zuckerberg money is actually paying the election judges who determine what ballots to be counted and what the count is in Philadelphia and in Delaware County. It's Zuckerberg money paying their salaries. That ought to send alarm bells. You know, where if this continues, it'll be the point in the next election you will push the button for a candidate and the gecko will pop up and say, election brought to you by Geico.
Right.
We can't privatize elections. It's insane. Because private interest in the election will result if we allow that.
Wow.
So that's one concern. You have an inherent bias there that I don't know how you fix it. You should prohibit this from happening. Secondly, they're keeping Republicans well away. Just recently, I think it was in Michigan, a judge ordered that they allow Republicans closer. And so what they did is they moved the barrier 6 feet, and then they moved the tables back 6 feet. So they did not allow them any closer. They just put them in the room. This is the kind of stuff that's going on in Democrat-controlled cities where those persons are determining the count.
Wow.
Now, this shouldn't happen anywhere.
No.
We need eyes on. Everybody deserves eyes on.
Now, Phil, the election happens, all these votes happens, and then let's say Biden wins, and then all these court battles go through, and then let's say everything's found to be a big fraud. What do we do? How do we untangle this spaghetti bowl?
Well, our laws allow certain actions to occur now. The election isn't really certified until later. You've got the election of the electors or the appointment of the electors coming in December. So there's a time frame here.
Right.
I think the primary thing that needs to happen, they're trying to play out the clock, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And gentlemen, I'm sorry, my time is ending. I'm getting an important call. Is that okay?
You
No,
do it.
go ahead.
You
Go do it. No, do
Thanks
what
so
you
much for your time, Phil. You win. Go fight, win.
man.
Yeah.
Go fight, win,
Go
man.
fight, win.
Go.
Bye, Phil.
We'll come back. I'll come back. Thank you.
Yeah,
gentlemen.
please come back.
All right.
Go fight, though. You go do
That's
what you go do, Phil,
unbelievable.
because
He's in the middle of it.
wow.
what in the world is going on
Well,
right now?
Libertas Christian School, we're
praying for you guys.
for you.
America, we praying for you.
Yeah.
More cross politic. Take this time to go pray. Coming up next.
Maybe file a lawsuit while you're on the break.
Pray for Phil.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
It's busy.
All right, more cross politic coming up next. Wow.
America! What's wrong with you people?
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
I'm just gonna put this right here next to everything else. Just make sure.
As you could hear, Knox closed that show out thinking that we were going to drop the show Sunday night, that interview Sunday night. And
but
there it is.
There it is.
Be praying.
Hey, hit share. Did you share this yet?
Yeah,
share the show.
You should share this.
Share that interview.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them.
Now!
Until Sunday, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Keep praying. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Amen.
Hey, go fight, laugh, and feast. God knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Amen.